but I feel like I'm just going to be asking you a bunch of questions, and I would really like the answer, not dancing around the question, but an actual answer. I find that people tend to dance around questions.
Okay. Well, there's this thought in atheism that's pretty new, as far as I know, where atheists like to say, I lack a belief. And I think that's very dangerous, because you're basically saying, when you in a debate format, you're basically putting up this shield saying, I lack a belief. I don't have to bring anything to this debate. I don't have to bring anything to discussion. All I get to do is poke at you.
I think
and that's not very fair in a debate.
That's fair, but I also think that it could be constituted as a debate of burden of proof. I've never seen any evidence. Again, it's a burden of proof. Burden of proof rests on somebody saying that there is a creator. I've never seen any evidence of this. My position is that there is no evidence, and I would like to see that evidence. If you want to call it whatever you like, but that's my position.
Okay, I just don't want to get into this thing where all I do is bring arguments to the table, and all somebody does is poke a hole in them and offers nothing back. I don't think you're going to do that.
Try not to do that. Actually, I'll try not to do that.
I've seen that happen so many times, and that's just not how a debate should work. And I don't think that's how a discussion should work, because it's just one person on the attack and one person's on the defense.
Oh, so let's put it this way. I will, and again, burden of proof does kind of disintegrate into that sometimes. So again, I agree with you there. What I'll say is I want to hear what you have to say. And if I have good cause, good reason, either logical, cognitive bias, or scientific reason to interject and poke a hole in some way, I'll do my best, but I'm also going to try really hard before I poke the hole to steel man your argument so I completely understand it and restate it so you're happy with it before I try to poke the hole.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
I need you to enable screen sharing, yes. And instead of calling this debate, I'm just going to call this giving you a presentation and letting you ask questions.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, if you could enable screen sharing, that'd be great.
Yeah, 1 second, I'm working on here. I'm just gonna make you the host. It's not really letting me do it. I don't know why.
All right.
So I think with you as the host, you'll be able to do it.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here.
Is it letting you?
Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
All right, we're past opening comments. These are some slides I borrowed from a guy named Dr. Frank Turek from Cross Examined. I've changed a lot of them, but
I know who he is. I know who he is. Yeah, I know who
slides.
I disagree with basically everything he says, actually.
Okay, well, I want to say get the definition of faith right, because there's no king of definitions.
Yeah.
Anybody can make their own definition of any word. I believe faith is confidence, assuredness, and sturdy, and it's when we have evidence, but it can't bring us to 100% certainty. This is something that Richard Dawkins kind of laughed at, got the audience to laugh at him when he was in the debate with Dr. John Lennox, and he was talking about how no faith is wrong, faith is for idiots, and Dr. John Lennox asked him if he had faith in his wife, and he's like, okay. It's actually kind of a funny clip.
That's kind of playing the semantics game. I mean, faith is without evidence. In most regards, that is what faith is. It's without evidence. This is how the most people use it, without evidence.
I want to say that
science.
My definition is faith is what fills the gaps between evidence and 100% certainty. But we can, like I said, you can call faith whatever you want, and there's no definition police to arrest one of us for getting it wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
There are some, and I wanted to say that science and faith are not contradictions. I think science and faith, science and religion can exist together. I don't know like this idea that you can only have one. And
you can only, but
there are many great scientists who.
Well, real quick, I mean, I know that you're doing a presentation here, but science and religion are fundamentally incompatible. Fundamentally, on a fundamental level, they are incompatible.
Why is that?
Okay, so for example, the Bible, would you say people have faith in the Bible, Christianity? We'll just use Christianity as the example.
They have faith in the Word of God.
People have faith in the Word of God.
Bibles actually exist.
Okay, well, the Bible also says that the Bible is the Word of God, right?
Okay.
So that's making a claim that cannot be proven, and is in all fact and likelihood untrue.
Well, first off, That's not a scientific claim, that's a philosophical claim.
Exactly.
Science is not philosophy, science is not math, science is not history, science is not opinion, science is not
Science is
value
evidence.
statements.
Science is
Science
evidence.
is science is the study of the physical world around us.
Yes, and religion makes claims about the physical world around us all the time. Pick a miracle, it doesn't matter, and that is making a scientific claim that cannot be proven. Therefore, it's incompatible.
What do you mean it can't be proven?
Okay, do you believe, for example, that Jesus was born of a virgin? Not that it would matter because it wouldn't
Yes.
prove he was a god, but do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's an unscientific fact. So if you believe that,
Well, don't you believe almost the same thing? You believe that nothing created the universe.
nope, I believe that I
You
don't know
believe
how
the universe came
to
from
be.
nothing, don't you?
I believe I do
Now,
not know
here's
how
the
the universe
problem.
came to be.
You
Religion,
believe the universe was created by, are you atheist or are you an agnostic?
I'm an atheist.
So you believe the universe came to existence through natural forces.
Yes,
What natural forces?
I
Because
sure don't.
if time, space, and matter were created by time, space, and matter, something supernatural, something outside of time, greater than time, space, and matter must have created. Something supernatural must have created.
Why must something outside of those things have created it? Why do you know that? Why couldn't it have been anything
I will actually
other
get to
than
that in a minute. I will get to that in a minute, but science is
It's
not
incompatible
the only
with
form of
faith.
knowledge we have.
It's incompatible. There is no realm where
That's a
religion can
philosophical
make,
statement.
but religion, any religion makes unsubstantiated scientific claims regularly, which people believe and forms a core basis of their belief, which are fundamentally inaccurate.
Do you believe that George Washington was the first president of the United States?
I know he was because I have evidence for that fact.
Because of science or because of history?
Because there's an overwhelming preponderance of scientific data and history which points to him being there. We literally have his teeth, his
History is
DNA.
different than
We
science.
have all.
They relate. History
What's
is
the
different
point?
than science. You cannot recreate George Washington's presidency in a lab.
Nope.
You can't recreate battles in a lab. You can't recreate Alexander the Great in a lab.
Can't recreate last second in a lab
History
either.
and science are related. There are many forms of knowledge. History is one of them. Philosophy is one of them. Mathematics is one of them. You need philosophy and mathematics to be true before science can be true. To try and use science to prove philosophy and mathematics is circular reasoning.
No. Philosophy and math.
Yes.
No.
Philosophy is based on logic, the laws of logic, non-contradiction,
Correct.
excluded middle, identification.
Correct.
You need that to be true before you can even.
No, you need that to begin the process of science. You need philosophy to begin the process of science. You don't need philosophy for science to exist.
Then it's circular logic if you try to use science to prove philosophy.
No, the Bible is an example of circular logic. Saying it's true because it says
What I'm
true
saying
is
is
circular
highly
logic. It's not
controversial.
circular
I'm
logic
sorry.
to say that math is an independent subject that whether exists whether or not we know it or not, whether or not we understand math or not, math will be there. Doesn't matter if we understand it. 1 + 1 is 2. We just add those concepts, as you've said, with words and semantics. It's still always going to be the case that there is a reality here that is beyond our ability to measure. This is why we have science, because our eyes and senses fail us. It's because these things exist, whether we want them to exist, whether we know they exist, whether we see they exist or not, they exist.
And how do you prove things that can't be scientifically proven?
Such as what?
Exist.
Supernatural claims? You can't. They don't
The laws
exist.
of logic. So why do you
Really?
believe in something you can't prove exists?
Like what? You have to explain that better. That's
The
not
laws of
anything.
logic, the laws of math.
So the
You
laws
can't
of logic,
scientifically prove
give
the
me
laws
one
of math.
example. Give me an example.
Give you an example. The laws of logic. I told you the law of contradiction.
Give me one
non-contradiction,
specific
the law
law,
of
one
excluded
specific
middle.
law, and I want you to. Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry, say it again.
Those are the laws.
I understand,
The
but
three
pick,
laws that make up the laws of logic.
okay, so pick one.
Pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
Pick one. I live in the United States.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Now, because of the law of non-contradiction, for that to be true, I can't live anywhere else. I can't live in Canada. I can't live in Mexico. I can't live in Europe. I've identified truth, and everything outside that truth that contradicts it cannot be true.
Okay. I don't see what your point is here.
So I don't know where you're going with this.
I really
feel
do.
like
I'm
this
not
is
seeing your point. My point
a
is,
really a controversial topic.
it's not. Does reality exist whether or not we can measure it and see it? It's very simple. Does it exist whether we measure it or not?
Well, once again, from a religious perspective, yes. From a scientific perspective, you can't prove we're not in the matrix, and this is all software programs.
This could be a simulation. This could be I mean, I don't want to get into it. You know, it could be any number of things. I don't know what this is. We could be in purgatory right now. This could be hell. I don't know what it is. Science certainly can't tell you what it is.
Okay.
But that doesn't change the fact that the material world is here, whether we like it or not. Whether we can see it, whether we can measure it or not, the material world is here. Now, with the material world here, to the best of our knowledge,
you don't know if it's here, and now you're saying it's here. That's a contradiction. You just said you don't know if we're in the matrix, and then you said it's here. That can't be true. You can't. Either it's maybe here.
I got you. One second. Let me back. I got it. Let me back up. Sorry. You're right about that. All right. So the physical world exists as we know it, to rephrase, because of science. We cannot see electrons. We can't see atoms. We can't see far into space. We can't see spectrums of light. But with science, we can measure them. Yes?
Well, I can promise you the physical world was here long before man created science.
Yeah, again, that's kind of the point I'm making. Yes, I understand that. But that being, I'm just restating my point because I misspoke when I said earlier. I'm restating it now. Okay. I'm just restating because I did speak kind of stupid.
Okay.
So now that being said, with the science that we are able to actually demonstrate, again, evidence with science, we can prove that these things do exist. Ultraviolet light, atoms, tiny little molecules, diseases, these things, DNA, we can prove these exist with science. This science is based on evidence. Most everything in religion is not based on evidence. It is based on random things which have no evidence.
Well, it's based on philosophy and theology. What are you living for? I see you work out a lot. You seem to live to coach and work out. What scientific evidence do you have that that's the way you should be living your life? And that's going to bring, and that's what, show me scientifically that you're living your life the correct way.
1 second, I'll get
Have you taken it to a lab? Have you gone to a lab and tested it?
I see where you're getting with that, but now we're getting to morality. This is a different topic, but we'll get to it in a second. My point is, religion is not based on evidence and science are. Now, somebody can obviously live and be religious and believe in a God, and they can also be a scientist. I don't know how many of them. But that being said, if you're a scientist...
well, that was my point.
Sorry?
That's the point of the slide, is that science and religion, I don't think you don't have to choose one. There are many Nobel Prize winning scientists. I gave quotes here.
But I'm saying, because the purpose of this debate is which is more rational, that the universe was created by a God or that we don't know how it was created. A scientist should say, I don't know, because a scientist should not put God before it's putting the cart before the horse. Literally, I know a God did it.
Is therefore a religion a man-made philosophy?
Of course it is.
Is science man-made?
Of course it is.
What's the difference?
The difference is the laws of science, while we do have semantic laws like the theory of gravity, and that's what we call the theory of gravity, whether or not that's even correct or not, nowadays it's looking like it might be a little bit off. I don't want to get off subject, but regardless, whether that theory of gravity is actually correct, that does in fact happen. That is measurable, that is testable. We can see it, we can experiment it. We have an overwhelming preponderance of evidence for gravity and evolution and everything else.
Well, I think different, but I think we need to get off the slide. We've been here too long. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this.
So just in a nutshell,
I think science is man-made.
If I may,
what's that?
In a nutshell, if I may, you can absolutely have science and religion in your life. You can absolutely believe that a God created everything and be an excellent Nobel Prize winning scientist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it is not the rational position to take. I'm saying you're being an irrational
Okay.
human, which we mostly all are anyways. I'm just saying it's irrational to think like that, to put the cart before the horse.
All right, I'm fine with your statement there. I don't agree with it, but I'm fine. Let's move on. There are three arguments I'd like to talk about: the cosmological argument, the theological argument, or teleological argument, and the moral argument. And we're kind of running behind. I'm sure you've heard of Dr. William Lane Craig. The cosmological argument: everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. This is not even something that I'm just brought up. This is debated by guys and men and women way smarter than you and I. There are plenty of debates on this on YouTube. But even, the science is trending in the Big Bang. I think Big Bang is the most accepted theory of the start of the universe, and it's a lot of evidence there. I don't know. Do you believe in the Big Bang?
Agreed? No, I agreed 100%.
Okay.
100%. Yep.
So I just want to make sure, because some people think the universe was eternal and infinite, and I just don't believe that. I don't think the evidence supports that.
The evidence supports, I mean, in my opinion, the evidence supports the Big Bang.
Okay. SURGE is an acronym Frank Turk likes to use. I'm going to go over it real quick. We're not going to spend a lot of here. Nothing I'm saying is controversial. The second law of thermodynamics: if the universe was eternal, we would have run out of energy, but since you don't believe that, I think we can skip.
Yeah.
The universe is expanding. We can see through the telescopes the universe expanding away from a point.
Yep, no disagreement.
This is the part. This is the argument that turned Einstein from an atheist to a theist. He couldn't believe it. He had tried to redo the way math was done to get around it, and in the end, he basically said he understood that if the universe had a beginning, there must have been something outside, some sort of force to begin it outside of nature that we know.
Just real quick, I'll just interrupt because I'm not sure. Did Einstein become a theist? I don't think he did.
Einstein became a theist. He was a hardcore atheist. He had to go see the telescope. He had to go look at it before he believed. He was willing to redo the way we understood math to be done. That's how far he was willing to go, until he just could not do it anymore and said, "Okay." So Einstein died an atheist. I think he was more of a lean toward a more Buddhist philosophy, but he died a theist.
I never thought of it, actually.
The radiation afterglow. Once again, since you believe the universe had a beginning, we don't have to talk to this, but we can
no disagreement.
Look at the radiation and see. Great galaxy seeds. Because light takes forever to get here, we can look in the past and see the universe in the past millions of years ago.
Yep, still no disagreement.
Which we don't need to talk about. Einstein's general theory of relativity: time, space, and matter all came into existence at the same time. For matter to exist, it had to have come in a time. It had to have been a place, a space for it to exist. Time, space, and matter are all connected, and they all came at the same time. And we believe at the start of the Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
This is Robert Joustin, founder of the Goddard Institute Space Studies. The turns out the Bible and the Big Bang line up. The account of Genesis and the account of the Big Bang line up. So I don't know if you want to consider that a gigantic coincidence.
Well, except for the
fact that we're not talking about Christianity. Why Christianity?
Well, except for the fact that he created the universe out of order. He did everything without light and without plants first, etc. I mean, I could keep going through it, but I mean, other than that.
Remember, Genesis is poetry, and the poetry is Jewish poetry, and it's a different sort of poetry. And I'd be happy to talk to you about how the words don't kind of mean different things when you look at it in a poetic sense. But the fact is that how did these idiots thousands of years ago start a religion that lines up with what science says religion is today?
Real quick, just if I may, just because you might not know about this actually, do you know who Graham Hancock is by any chance?
I do not.
Oh, you might. This has nothing to do with religion, by the way. Just curious. Graham Hancock is a journalist who digs into ancient histories, and it actually looks like humankind and human civilization has been on Earth like a really effing long time. Like we're talking like millennia earlier than we thought we had advanced civilizations here. We did, and it seems like they've been wiped out by a couple different catastrophes. So I mean, I don't want to get into it.
Is he the guy who talks about Atlantis on Joe Rogan?
He might be.
Okay.
But I've been following his work for a long time. I love his books. He's really smart, but the only reason I'm bringing it up is just because we have a lot of really cool information, a lot of really cool, amazing ancient structures that we didn't know existed, which had to have been built by a highly advanced civilization. Like we have the structures, you know what I mean? Like you can't hide them. Göbekli Tepe and stuff like that. And the cool thing about them is that these things predate our knowledge of humans being like humans, basically. These things are like 30,000, 40,000, 60,000 years old, advanced civilizations. So to think that these advanced civilizations, you know, could have existed, figured out all this really cool stuff, collapsed, but then pieces and fragments of them carried on with the information, like to Egypt and the, you know, the Bible and stuff, even the origins of the universe. This could have been information that was continuously passed down. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, just on a side note, sorry, but just on a side note.
Well, I'd have to look into that. I'm not prepared to talk about that.
I just wanted to mention
I
it
do know
because
that
it's interesting and it kind of, in my view, kind of ties in a bit. Sorry.
Yeah. When I've looked into carbon dating, I see it may not be as exact as we think it is, especially since they revised it every few years.
That's true. I was just, anyways, sorry.
But basically, the guy we just talked about, Goddard Space Studies founder, he's an agnostic astronomer. He's willing to admit that he can't look at the origin of the universe and see anything but a supernatural force at work. Is that a god, or is that just for nature, a super nature, a super time, space, and matter affecting matter? Because if time, space, and matter came into existence at the same time, something super to that, a super nature must have, or supernatural. It just seems like the more rational thought to me.
Why?
Time, space, and matter can't make time, space, and matter. If it had a beginning, it means something outside of it must have created it.
No, I know that, but I mean, and again, I'm not. Can I talk now, or are you still doing your thing? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so seriously, so this is literally where I get hung up on. This is my hang up. This is what I do not understand. This is where, I mean, I kind of get the perspective for it. I get why people do it with the pattern recognition that we have. I understand a lot of the different psychological conditions that we're subject to. But just because those, I mean, just to keep it real simple, those three things came into being at once and created all of this, why does that necessarily need to be something supernatural? It doesn't need to be. It could be just something we don't know what it is. Supernatural, you can use that word, but why couldn't it be aliens? Why couldn't it be the start of a computer program if we are a simulation? Why?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
If it's aliens, someone must have created the aliens.
Exactly, but it's the same problem with
computer program.
But it's the same problem with a god. If somebody created a god, I mean, it's literally the same thing. It's the same issue. You're literally just going right back to the beginning of I don't know.
Well, as far as the computer program is concerned, I don't know. You have to get outside the matrix to understand. We will never know it's a computer program unless we can get outside of it somehow. And that just, I don't know, is that rational? Is that rational to believe?
Yes. Okay. So let me put it to you like this.
It's something there's no evidence in.
So let me put it to you like this. Give me a second to think how I can ask this. Do you think it is more or less likely that we are in a computer simulation as opposed to the real world? The computer simulation, those three things started when the designer pushed the button, whoever designed the simulation, called an alien, pushed the button, that started those three things, that started the universe. Now we're here in the simulation. Or is it more likely this is the real world? Those three things started because a supernatural entity said, start.
I would say there's no evidence of a computer simulation, and it's not rational to believe in something with zero evidence. And I would say we have evidence of a Big Bang. We have evidence of a start.
So we're getting somewhere now.
I would.
So
I would say we have.
Okay, so this is my point here. So this is what I'm so curious about. In my head, those two are equal. I don't see one reason why one would be true over the other. They're both same likelihood to me. Why are you choosing one or the other? What's your reasoning?
Well, let me keep going and we'll get there.
Okay.
And you asked about God, who created God. I know that's a Richard Dawkins question, but once again, it lines up with Genesis. God is eternal. God always existed. He was infinite. There's no problem with that statement because I don't have a God that was created. I have a God that's eternal.
Okay, so one second. Can I stop you again? Sorry, 1 second. Can I stop you?
Yeah.
So that makes a little bit more sense to me. So just so I can wrap this up for everybody. So with the previous slide, you went over essentially how the universe has been created. It is constantly expanding. Basically everything we just said. Your concept of a God is
Basically,
one,
it's the evidence that the universe had a beginning.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
mean,
this argument is. Universe had a beginning. I'm going to go back to the cosmological argument because it's very important. You understand this and you understand it right, because people will purposely
I actually don't disagree with you
restate it
about
in a
this,
way
though.
that's easy to beat.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with you.
Everything that begins to exist has a cause.
That I disagree with,
Yep.
though.
You disagree that everything that begins to exist has a cause.
Yeah, why does it have to have a cause?
Have you noticed anything in nature that's began without a cause?
I couldn't say.
Do you have any evidence of anything in nature that began without a cause?
I couldn't say, because who are we to even say what a cause is? What does that even mean?
Well, it's an action. I mean,
Yeah, does
if
a
we're going
rock
to get down
does
to
a
we can't
rock
even
have a
define
does a
words.
rock have a cause? Does a worm have a cause? Does a bird have a cause? Does a human have a
Yes,
cause?
a worm has a cause. A worm was created by other worms. A rock was created during the foundations of the world.
So what
Through
cause does the
whatever
rock
magma
have?
or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
don't understand. Again, I mean,
Well,
again, I'm not. I don't know if you
the-
think I don't know if you think I'm being a dick here, but I'm just really not understanding this. Why do things need to have cause?
Because everything in nature that we have ever seen has a has a beginning and a cause.
As a beginning,
Everything
it
we
has
have
an
ever
end,
seen.
and it basically does nothing in between. Nothing of any productive value is ever done ever by anything, as far as we can determine, unless you
Well, we're
say,
talking about a beginning. We're talking about I'm here because my parents got together. You're here because your parents got together. That's the cause.
okay,
You're here because your mom got pregnant and gave birth to you. That's your cause. The
can you define the word cause a
anything you
little
want to
better?
pick.
I mean, can you maybe just define cause a little? I'm struggling with it a little better.
I don't think I can define it better than a cause. I mean, a reason, a reason for being. Everything has, and not like a philosophical reason, but an actual. Everything that we have, you can observe. The monitor I'm talking to you on or looking at this on, the monitor was made by a company probably in China. That was its cause.
Okay.
But
why do you?
I don't really know how to define that word better than that. That seems like the most basic word.
I think this. No, again, I understand the word. I don't understand why you think living things need to have a cause. They have a cause to exist.
I'm not talking about a cause like a purpose. I'm not talking like a purpose. Or a moral purpose or a meaning into their life.
Okay.
There is a cause for something to begin, a factual, physical cause for something to begin.
For something to be created.
To be created, to start.
So
a tree starts from an acorn or something.
So for something to begin from beginning to end, for something to have that happen, there must be a cause to have the beginning and end.
There must be a reason. We don't see things pop into existence randomly. When you leave to go coach or whatever you do, you don't have to worry about an elephant appearing in your room sporadically. You don't have to worry about one day when you go to fill up your car, it not needing gas, but it needing Mountain Dew Code Red to run. Okay, there's a cause. There's a cause for things.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm still not understanding. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I want to see if I can phrase this better. Because I really feel this is the key point that I'm struggling with here. This is really the key thing.
If we live in a world governed by chaos, if we live in a universe governed by chaos, why is the appearance of such order, such as things like we can track the cause of things back? You get a cold. What's the cause? You touched a doorknob that somebody who else had a cold sneezed on and they got their germs all over it. That's the cause of your cold.
Okay, so we have cause and effect, basically what we're talking about. We have the laws of nature, which prohibit certain things from happening, but at the same time, there are lots of things which happen for no goddamn reason whatsoever. Now, those things also, one second. They, just to use the example you used, they happen for no reason whatsoever. So tomorrow I might come home and find an elephant in my house. Now, that cause could be somebody watched this video and played a prank on me. I wouldn't understand that. It would have a cause, but it would seem completely random to me. Now, there are things like quarks which pop in and out of reality. We don't even know where they come from. We have things that exist in two places at the same exact time. We don't know how that's possible. We know that there are things like infinity, and we don't know how the fuck that exists. Like we can't even understand or comprehend infinity, but it's there. So what are these? I'm not grasping why something. I get the cause and effect, and I get that things have to be born, and I get, again, with evolution, you can even say God started evolution. Didn't really say how he did it, but let's just say he started evolution. I don't know if you believe that, but then that's how we did get to this point. So each one of those things which led from a single cell to a double cell, to me, was a cause and effect which led to the next link in the chain, right?
Okay.
I mean, is that accurate, or no?
Well, I'm saying if something begins to exist, this is the argument. If you show up tomorrow, or somebody shows up at your house, a friend, and they have a baby,
Yeah.
the cause of that baby was the woman gave birth to it.
Yeah, again,
It began to exist.
But you can apply that to evolution. Take it all the way back to before, when we were just sludge chemicals, before we became organisms, right?
If you want to, yeah.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but like,
so what we're saying is the universe began to exist. Do we both agree on that?
Yeah.
We both agree the universe began to exist.
Yep.
What the hell is the cause of the universe then? Is it more rational to believe in a God that created the universe, or is it more rational to believe nothing created everything?
But with your definition of a God, one which has always been there and always will be there and is all eternal, why would you even comprehend or conceive of that? This is where I'm still, it's just a problem. I've got like a block. I don't know what it is. If nobody had ever told me,
understand your question.
Like, no, if no one had ever told me that that it is possible that something could exist forever and be all powerful and go around creating universes. So basically the concept of your God. If nobody had ever told me that, and I never had that thought popped into my head, and nobody else in the world ever had that thought pop into their head, but we had a bunch of religions which never had that thought pop into their head, would you also still believe that? Would you somehow come to that conclusion on your own, or would you believe something different?
Probably not. I mean, this isn't my argument. This is an argument that has existed, that was created by a guy way smarter than me, Dr. William Lane Craig.
No, again, I'm not trying to like be I'm just trying to understand. So,
well, I honestly, if I didn't have an algebra textbook, I probably never would have grasped the concept of algebra either.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, again, I get that, but I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. So it seems most plausible.
What I'm coming from is go find something that exists and prove to me that there's no cause for it. Can you do that?
Well, depending on your definition,
because everything, 100% of everything I've ever seen in this world,
but
I've observed in nature, has a cause.
But that is entirely by your definition of cause.
For you now, you are making the claim. You are making the claim that something can exist without a cause. Like I'm making the claim God exists.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go prove it at this point, because all of nature, all of science disagrees with you.
No, you're using the word cause in a very different way than I use the word cause. I use cause and effect. Something gave birth to something else. That doesn't mean when it's existing, it has any reason whatsoever for existing.
Right. I don't think that is either. I'm using cause and effect as well. Like I said, I really don't know how to explain it more.
Okay, so let me
I get in my car. Yeah.
Let me restate this to you. Tell me if this sounds like what you're saying. There is a God who has all powerful, eternal, these things, who at the point in time of the Big Bang chose to make that happen and created everything. Everything which is existing has come from that singular point, which he himself caused to happen.
And that all lines up with the Big Bang at this point.
Now, again, I'm actually totally okay with that. I'm okay with the Big Bang, and I'm okay with the cause and everything else.
Okay.
The thing I keep getting hung up on is why you would jump to the God. But the point you're making is everything has to have a cause. So therefore the God must have been
there's a slide that what gets me to God. If you give me a few more slides, I'll get to the God.
Right, good.
Okay.
But does that make sense?
All
Is
right,
that what you're saying though?
And I would like to turn you on to Dr. William Lane Craig if you're that interested. He's the founder. He's the main guy when it comes to that argument, and maybe he can explain it way better than I can.
I know how it gets. I'll definitely look him up. This is really making me curious. I just
and these are all very
don't understand that part.
Intelligent people who are going to tell you that doctors, Nobel Prizes, that yeah, it matches up with Genesis, which we're not talking about Christianity, but I thought it was interesting. So if the universe had a beginning, there's only two options. No one or nothing created something out of nothing,
yep.
Or someone or something created something out of nothing.
I think one
Those are your two options.
Yeah, I think one makes more sense personally.
Okay. But just so you know, nothing created everything. That's your statement.
But the way, okay,
and so how many times in the world, how many times in science, how many times in your life have you seen nothing create something?
But again, the way that you're saying it like that, let me see if I can approach it slightly differently then. When you say nothing created, or what are you saying? Nothing created something out of nothing?
Nothing or something created something.
And that's actually not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know how things came to be. I am on board with the Big Bang. Let me just keep going. I'm on board with the Big Bang. I'm on board with everything. I can even easily go down the road of what you just said. It would make sense that someone started or created it. I don't want to use the word supernatural, but something beyond our comprehension had the ability to, let's just say, flick a switch for the sake of simplicity, flick a switch or snap their fingers or what have you, and create all this. I can see that perspective just fine. I don't have any difficulty understanding that. I get the cause and effect argument. I'm going to look more into it for sure. But I get that. This is what I'm not understanding. Why is that more rational than literally something coming out of nothing?
Well, why is something coming out of nothing?
No, but when I use,
because I have never in my entire life, or I think any scientist ever observed nothing creates something.
But when you're saying the word nothing,
picture
like
nothing.
But again, that's the word. This is a problem I have. Is the word nothing is the word that you're using. Before the universe was created.
Remember time, space, and matter.
Yeah, again,
there was no time, space, and matter before the Big Bang.
One second. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm trying to. I have to use these goddamn words, but I'm trying to give you a different word, kind of. Okay, before the universe was created, you can use the word nothing, and you can say that there was nothing, and you can use that word just fine, but that word doesn't mean anything. There could have been there could have been literally anything. I'm just going to throw them, don't shoot them down. I'm just going to say a bunch of random things. There could have been ridiculously expanded, fully complete universes, which fully expanded and then contracted and started the Big Bang again. Doesn't require God. That could be an all eternal universe that keeps expanding and then shoots back and snaps together. Now, I know this seems unlikely, as science has already kind of almost disproven that, but just hypothetically, that's one thing that could have happened, right? And in that particular case, that could also be just as likely as an all eternal God, only it's an all eternal universe, which keeps going whoop, shoop, shoop, shoop every 10 billion years. Why is that less likely? Okay, I don't want to use the word nothing, but why is that less likely than a creator?
Can we hold on that argument when I go through the next couple slides?
Yeah.
Because this is just the one argument. The argument I'm only addressing now is that the universe had a beginning. And something exists. There was not time, space, and matter. Something banged the universe, is my belief. It wasn't an accident.
Real quick, Tim, I'm sorry. I have literally about 9 minutes left. I'm just going to shut up. How long do you think it'll take you to get through this?
I'll just go through it. Okay.
Go through it. And
time,
then
space, matter, beginning, whatever. I'm saying something timeless, spaceless, immaterial, powerful, and personal. And that sure sounds a lot like God to me. But that we're going to go off this argument. We're going to go to the theological argument. This is the universe as a design. And I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't have time. I mean, maybe if you want to put a pin in this, and I feel like I'm rushing, I'm not going to get the.
No, I don't want to do that. You want to just you want to wrap up, and then we'll come back another time. I wouldn't mind doing that at all. This is very interesting to me. It'll give me a chance to look in your position more.
I will send you some links for Dr. William Lane Craig. He's the founder of that argument, and he'd probably be able to. He's sure he's written books on it. I'm sure he can help you understand it more than I, because I'm not a doctor of physics or whatever he is.
Okay, well, no worries. Send me the info, but
Um,
let's wrap up like this then, if we could. Just because these are a couple very
Okay.
important points to me.
Right.
I personally don't like most religions. And the reason for this is I feel that they degrade humanity, they make us tribal, and they literally segregate us in really meaningful ways, and they prevent a lot of good in the world. What are your thoughts on religions, if you don't mind giving them? Do you think religions, I mean, we've already addressed it a little bit, they can be bad and stuff, but in general, and overwhelmingly, would you say
Here's
religions
my
are a
here's
force
the
for
moral
good or
argument. Let me
bad?
go to the moral argument real quick. I think as an atheist, you have no right using the word good or bad.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
think as an atheist, if you're just stardust and chemicals through time and chance, through a big accident, evolved from slime to us, good and evil is, you're stealing the concepts of good and evil from religion, and you're stealing it from right
Well,
and
that's not,
wrong.
well,
And you
you actually
cannot
can't.
justify morality as an atheist. I think at best your out morality is subjective. And I think for you to talk good and evil, you require a standard outside yourself, like a god, to even begin that. And I think this last point right here, some of the greatest atheist minds were nihilists. Camus said, the only question in life, and I'm paraphrasing, the only serious question in life is whether or not you should kill yourself.
I would agree with that, actually.
Nietzsche. As an atheist, I'm going to say this. I at least I admire atheists. I so admire atheists more than I do a lot of Christians and religious people who are willing to say, yeah, I can't justify good or evil. I can't justify anything except for my own subjective morality, my own subjective meaning.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, why do you care about good and evil if we're all just going to die some heat death someday? If there's no real meaning, there's no real purpose.
Yeah, but at that time, you'd actually have to hear my position on it. So just in brief, I do my best to be, let's say, a good person. So that being said, what the hell does that mean? Now,
where do you get good from? Whose standard of good do you get from?
Give me one sec, calm down. So for starters, I have always been an atheist. I've always believed religion to be absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that to be an asshole, but I mean, the way it's always been presented to me since I was a little kid is religious people have always been very horrible to me. Let's put it that way. And there's never been any good evidence. And they're literally like the Southern Texas kind of religious Christians who don't have brains. That's what I was brought up with. That's kind of why I have a bad taste in my mouth for religion most of my life. But that being said, I like to think I am a good person. Now, what does that mean subjectively? It just means I don't hurt people. It means I'm not a racist. I mean, if I can help it, we all have like prejudices and shit evolutionary wise and whatnot. It means I basically do everything I can to treat other people the way I would like to be treated. Now, how do I justify that? I justify it because that's how I want to be treated. Now, how do I define good and bad? Everybody has different definitions of it. Throughout my life, I've done a lot of things which I think I would right now, and probably most people would consider to be absolutely horrible and bad, really evil shit, like bad stuff. And at the same time, they were 100% necessary in that moment because it either saved my life or saved somebody else's life. So it's contextual. And I always base my morals contextually depending on the situation and for myself, not for the greater good. For myself, I'm a selfish person. But that being said, I don't have this kind of a weird, and I would also like to point out that I don't really think any religious people actually do follow their morals in their books, because I mean, Christians, for example, would still have slaves if they followed the morals in the Bible. I mean, I make that point quite frequently, but besides the point, if you need a God to tell you what is good and what is bad, if you need a God to tell you not to steal, if you need a God to tell you who's going to punish you if you murder somebody, you're probably a psychopath. Murder, in my opinion, is a good thing. You should kill people. Lots of people should definitely die. I could list off a lot of people who are horrible, psychopathic, horrible people who need to die. Does that mean it's a good thing to murder them? Should you ever murder a human? It's contextual. Most everything is contextual, right? I mean, can we agree
on that? By contextual, you mean subjective?
So you mean
subjective by contextual?
No, I mean contextual. So let's just say Hitler. Hitler never became Hitler. He just became an artist, and he was a good guy his whole life, and he had a wonderful family, and he was a priest, and he was an awesome guy. Be a bad idea to kill that Hitler, right? Because he's a good guy. Well, how about the Hitler who was doing all the stuff that Hitler was doing? I think contextually, yeah, put a bullet in his head as quick as possible. Does that make sense?
No, because you keep saying good and evil and right and wrong, and you have no basis for it.
Again, you keep saying I don't have a
And
basis.
it's kind of funny. You talked about do unto others, do it yourself, and you don't like the Bible, but you pretty much quoting Jesus at this point.
Well, again, you're saying one
with
second.
some of the things you're saying.
This is something I've got into. I only have like 2 seconds. This is something I've got into before, but it's completely and wildly inappropriate to say that we get our morals from religion for multiple reasons. Number one, well, as I've already said, civilization goes way back, well before any of the modern day religions, and their religions, even they didn't have religions, they had morals. There are tribes in the world right now which do not have religions, and they have morals in place. They have systems and structures in place.
The point I'm making. I'm sorry, that's not the point I'm making. You can have morality. You can't justify morality. You can't say what you're doing is right or wrong or good and evil outside.
No. And I wouldn't say I could justify morality besides a selfish sense of preservation. In order to be,
right.
I'll put it this way. So from the nihilistic point of view, you could say that most atheists don't go around hurting people, stealing, embezzling, and whatnot because they're worried about the government or police or jail or whatever. And I would actually say that's probably true of most people, regardless of whether they're religious or not. Most people will do everything in their power to get away with everything that they can. And they'll try to justify it to themselves in some way, regardless of whether they're religious or not. My difference is I do everything in my power to go against my base instincts and do what I can to help people and to help myself. I don't say that I'm justifying that. I'm saying get it from religion. I say that I want to help people. I want my life to be better. And that means I personally want to be better. It's you can say it's religion, but there's no evidence whatsoever for that.
Are you out of time? Because this is a pretty deep topic, yeah. And I think I have some stuff.
No, I really.
Well, I'd like to do this again. This kind of got off, but I didn't get to talk about everything I did. But I hope you can at least start to see that God, maybe there, as far as evidence, okay, maybe you're not convinced, but maybe it's not just because some stupid book told me.
No,
that there's actually some thoughts behind some of it.
I have like a minute here, so let me say this. I was very pleasantly surprised. I think anyways, I really think I see your perspective. I think I don't have any trouble seeing your perspective. I don't think I'm all the way there. But as we know, debates don't change somebody's mind in the debate. It doesn't matter how open-minded they are. I want to look into this a lot more and stuff. But that being said, I definitely want to talk to you some more about all of this stuff. Again, just about morality, we'd like to chat more about that. But I really enjoyed this. I liked the cause argument. I don't get why that's more likely or rational, but we'll talk about that, or I'll look into that more. I enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate you being super nice and giving me all this time and shit. I actually took too much of your time, as a matter of fact. And again, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if I surprised you with anything I said. I really doubt it. But I mean, I think we covered it all. We'll be chatting again soon, Tim.
Well, I appreciate how consistent you've been on a lot of things. I just was worried we'd come into this and you would. I appreciate. Let me say, I appreciate the character of somebody who's willing to follow through their beliefs and see and the natural conclusions of them, and not someone who thinks they can walk the line and pretend they have objective morality and atheism and project they have and just live contradictory and just have contradictory arguments. I appreciate that what you say you truly seem to believe and you truly seem to walk it out. So I won't take up any more of your time. Let's schedule something else because we only got through about a third of what I wanted to get through.
Oh shit, yeah, we'll definitely do another one then for sure. I mean, I think this will probably get a lot of views anyway. This is a fun one. And thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Takes time to view it.
See you, bud. Be safe.